It's a huge pleasure to be here. We're completely humbled. My name's Ron Paul. Where's Manuel? Well, Manuel, thank you very much for inviting us, Naxon, for hosting us. And it's a wonderful opportunity as a human being because I'm the first gen and I have my second gen here as well, and my wife, so it's wonderful to be amongst all of you. My name's Ron Paul. I'm half Indian, half Swiss. So my father's from North India, the foothills of the Himalayas, and my mom's from Heimiswil in Emmental. So they met Bernese. So you can imagine how 63 years ago they met. It was an adventure. The motto of this event inspired me a lot. It made me feel at home. And the motto, crazy people that believe they can make a difference in their lifetime to the world. And I think this is an inspiration we should take. I'd like to put a time frame to it so we can actually make a difference within a short period of time or within our lifetimes, so we see the change we actually influence. So my background is I've been a globetrotter my whole life. I grew up in Asia, I was born in Hong Kong. So Swiss mother, Indian father, born in Hong Kong. I grew up in Hong Kong, Singapore, Bombay. I went to school in the Swiss Alps, so I know how it is to be in the mountains for 4 years. And then lived in the States, as you can hear, and been dedicated as a person and passionate to solve large problems. The problem we're trying to solve at the moment, and which we've been working on for 15 to 18 years, depending on how you define it, is how to feed the world profitably. So we'd like to take you through our journey, and I'd like to dream with you for a few seconds. What if we could uplift the small smallholder farmers of the world that represent today 2 billion people on our planet, a quarter of our planet? What if we could bring 30 to 40% more food into the food supply chains of the world, and this all within the next 5 to 10 years? What if, while doing the first two statements, bring regenerative soil practices and allocate carbon credit schemes to the small smallholder farmers of the world? What if we could do all of this profitably for all stakeholders involved? What if we had the technology today, the platformification, the digitization, the KYC knowledge to be able to identify each user, to be able to scale explosively, to do a transformation and a systemic change which the world has never seen? What if we could become one of the fastest growing companies with purpose and profit in the world in the next 5 to 10 years? So thank you so much for letting us introduce our journey to you. We will start this what if, and you obviously know the answer. Obama said it many times. What is it? We can. So we start with an Earth poem. The Earth poem was written by our co-founder, Pablo Erat, and was spoken by our Chief Impact Officer, Megan Fallone. And just enjoy. It's a poem. You will find the rhymes, and then we'll go into the more rational topics.
We are all part of the earth. In essence, we are she. For future generations, she is our home to be. Let's look after our planet with love and care, ensuring we all have clean water, healthy food, and air. Let's treat each living being with love and concern and improve our own well-being and life in return. Together, we can create a truly positive change through innovation, compassion, and open exchange. Let's create a world where food is sustainably produced and the stress on our earth is profoundly reduced, where small-scale farmers have a future that's bright and naturally produced food becomes a genuine delight. We are committed to drive this systems transformation and provide high-quality food to the world's population. We do this through collaboration and open innovation through technology, data, and inclusive education. Each day we are working to reset and renew a better system that invests for the planet and you.
I hope you liked it. Let's go to the next slide. So what are the two problem statements we are trying to solve or are in the process of solving? Feed the world sustainably and make smallholder farming viable. Many people don't know that a quarter of our planet, the population, are actually smallholder farmers and producers. The food they produce does not come into the world's food supply chains. This is important to know because we're all trying to make a change. All of these farmers do not have a carbon credit scheme. All of these farmers do not know how to do regenerative farming. So all of the elements, or many of the elements we spoke about today here, we can actually have a strong effect on. The second element is, how do we get the food into the world supply chains? How do we reduce waste? How do we do all of this? This is all done through high touch, which means a lot of manual work, and high tech. And I'd like to introduce you with the next slide to how we got there and how we're getting there. So Innoterra has two divisions. One is the nutrition division and one is the platforms division. So if you remember how Amazon started, Amazon had a bookstore and they sold their first books on a website. Then they realized they could sell more things on a website, and ultimately they realized they didn't need the bookstore anymore. I don't know, for some of you who remember that, that was about a rough summary of the journey. We started 18 years ago with our nutrition division. Today we produce, well, let me say it differently. Today we're completely backwards integrated to the small mid-holder farmer and forwards integrated into 14 countries, 16 Indian cities, 2 sourcing areas, and produce about 500 tons of healthy food every day. What is exciting about this journey is we've taken the courage to experiment. We've taken the courage to take out every partner in the process that is not a true partner. That means we have compressed the whole value chain and supply chain and made it more profitable for the producer, the small mid-holder farmers, and for the people who are creating value. The entire value chain is digitalized, and as of April, anyone who buys our produce in 14 countries can scan our product and actually send a message to the farmer that produced it. At the same time, you can send a tip to the farmer, like you do when you drive with an Uber, in a form of a cryptocurrency, and say, thanks for making my product. And like that, we close the loop between the consumer experience and the appreciation for the small mid-holder farmer. So if we look at the facts today, where do we stand? The nutrition division today does $100 million of revenue. We have 10,000 farmer families supplying us, and we produce food and deliver food to about 1.5 million clients a day. It might sound a lot, but honestly, it's not even a drop in the ocean. So what are we doing till 2025? We will continue to build the nutrition division as a basket of products. So what do you think our brand name is of our products in the nutrition division? Happy. So you'll find happy mangoes, happy bananas, happy fruits, happy nuts. That's kind of funny one. but all of these things. And it is our true ambition to make sure that we are not only a happy bunch, but we're also a profitable bunch. Because only profitability, in our view, arrives at sustainability. You have to churn that world. Otherwise, you cannot scale it at the speed we need to. Otherwise, we'll be doing this for the next 50 to 100 years. So, the platform part, what does technology do here? A small mid-holder farmer has 1.5 to 2.5 acres of land. They are not able to purchase their goods at the right price because they have too low purchase power, and they're not able to sell their produce into the right channels because they don't have any critical mass. So, what do? You use the network effect of digitalization, platformification. Today, you will hear more about that from Francisco in a few minutes from now. So, the purpose of the platformification is to create an explosive base through digitization to uplift and bring these farmers onto a platform, networks themselves, to be able to purchase at a lower price and to be able to sell as a collective. We have one big company in Switzerland called Migros. Maybe you all know them. So it was a similar Genossenschaft approach at the beginning. So the target is actually to make a small mid-holder farmer a part of a community that has the same size of corporate power. So corporate purchasing power, corporate selling, placement power. And at the same time create a produce and a product for a consumer that the consumer knows it's coming from a small mid-holder farmer. What is nicer in the heart than you know that you're eating a healthy product, you've helped uplift a family, and you've done something for the planet with carbon credits. So what we have built on this side, I will let Francisco explain to us. There's such a knowledge bomb here on this part, but in a few numbers here today, we're 80,000 farmers using our SaaS software, or 1,200 villages already on our backbone. We will launch in April. As a good Swiss company, we don't open our mouth too early. We do our work, and then we come out of stealth mode and say, hello, here we are. So we have this hello, here we are in April after 4 years of work in the background with about 100 programmers and amazing partners. And we will start our platform with between 250,000 and 500,000 farmer families. That's double the size of the city of Zurich in number of people if you count the whole agglomeration. So that's where we kick this journey off. We have 100 million gross merchandise value on our platform because we put the nutrition division as our first customer onto our platform. So from this point of view, our target, and this is under-promising and we hope to massively over-deliver, will be to have 5 million farmer families on our platform in 4.5 years from now and do at least $2 billion of gross merchandise value over that platform. Gross merchandise value coming from all the transactions around the farmer and the marketplace you will hear now. It is there is a movie before, right? So, sorry, Francisco, I got too excited. So, we had, as you are realizing, India is the largest country with the amount of small mid-holder farmers in the world. 170 million families constituting 600 to 700 million people, depending on family size. That is the reason we started in that country. It's been a fantastic journey. Not an easy one, a lot of bumps, but through diversification, these bumps have been able to be reduced, and slowly we come into a corporate atmosphere, more institutional atmosphere, but still with the entrepreneurial spirit behind it. On these journeys, you always need godfathers, people who hold your hand. Without them, things wouldn't be possible. So we'd like to our godfather was Deepak Parekh, or is Deepak Parekh. Deepak Parekh is the chairman of HDFC Group in India. And he wanted to be here today, but through all the complications of COVID, etc., he decided to send us a message. So it is with great honor to introduce this film to you. The HDFC Group has the same size like the Tata Group, and it's about the top 3 largest companies in India. And he's considered one of the most, in India, people look at these people differently. He's nearly a godly character for people in India. So, warm welcome to Deepak Parekh via the video.
Ladies and gentlemen, I wish I was in Switzerland personally to meet all of you here today. The virtual world has become our new reality. After nearly 24 grueling months of the pandemic, there is now greater confidence of coexisting with the virus and optimism of a return to near normalcy. There have been many lessons learned during the pandemic. One values relationships more dearly, and every evidence tells us that our future is better through stronger collaborations, knowledge sharing, and protecting our planet. I have known Ron and Pablo for over 15 years now, and have been associated with the pioneering work they have been doing in India. Till I had the opportunity of meeting them and visiting Gujarat, where their first project was, I never realized that an all-season fruit like bananas could have such a positive impact on the farming community once they get access to capital, technology, and to new markets. Suffice to say, Innoterra was ahead of its time. It spotted an opportunity early and had the conviction that they could make a difference to the lives of so many farmers in India. Since then, Innoterra has made many inroads in the agriculture space. India is and will be amongst the fastest growing major economies in the world, with an estimated GDP growth rate of 9.2% in the current financial year, and a projected growth rate of 7.8% in the following year. If one looks at India's GDP composition, 20% comprises the agriculture sector. The manufacturing sector accounts for 25%, and the services sector has a dominant share of 55%. In India, is a domestic consumption-driven economy. High contact industries like trade, tourism, and hospitality, amongst others, have been impacted severely due to the pandemic. On the other hand, sectors like IT, e-commerce, startups, pharma, real estate, and financial and professional services have done exceedingly well. Yet, what surprised on the upside was the sustained agricultural growth that India has seen over the last 2 years, which was also supported by good monsoons. Much of India's agriculture is still dependent on the rain gods, as they say. India's food grain production is currently at a record high of 309 million tons for the year, which is 11 million tons more than the previous year. Rising food prices and global supply chain bottlenecks has once again brought to the fore the importance of investing in agriculture. India still needs to import edible oil seeds, but is doing well on its rice and wheat exports. Yet sharp rises in food prices, coupled with rising crude oil prices, hurts the poor the most. Given that the agriculture and allied sector in India is still the largest employment generator, India needs to be able to attract more investments in this space. Clearly, there is a correlation between greater investments in agriculture and growth rates. Thus, it is important that India increases public and private investment. India needs to move away from a system of food and fertilizer subsidies to one that encourages and attracts long-term sustainable investments. This is the reason why the recent Union Budget, announced on February 1, 2022, did not focus on big bang reforms or increase social welfare spending, but instead focused on increasing public capital investment in the hope of crowding in the private sector. A strong focus on reviving the capex cycle will create more jobs, which is what the country urgently needs, given its young demographics. The government stands committed to increasing the farmers' income and is encouraging more agri startups, food processing zones, using domestic-made drones for crop assessment, digitization of land records, spraying insecticides and nutrients, and leveraging R&D for increased organic farming. By 2024, India seeks to replace diesel oil use in the agri sector with renewables, thereby committing on climate action and net zero emission. Let me conclude by saying that India is on the cusp of a new capex cycle. There is political stability, the external sector is robust, macro fundamentals are strong, and most importantly, India can provide attractive returns on long-term patient capital. Innoterra stands on a strong footing, having had the experience and expertise of working in the agricultural sector in India. I hope sometime soon many of you will visit India to see the change happening on the ground.
So I'll pass that on to him. I hope that clap is somewhere on the film. He's been a great accompanier on our journey, I must say. So from our side, you can imagine that over the last 3-4 years, we've created products and services for our farmer community, and as well systems and processes for our marketplace. And it is with great pleasure and honor, one of our first believers in institutional size, and our largest investor with a substantial amount over $50 million as an individual investor, I have the pleasure to introduce Francisco Fernandez to you. Francisco, please.
So I have not as usual, I have the unsexy part of the presentation, but I hope to entertain you nonetheless. So thank you very much for having us and having me. I was very positively surprised what's going on here and the quality of speakers and of ventures and the craziness of people here, because I think only people that believe they can change the world actually do. And you need a great portion of craziness to actually try and do it. So here it says why I'm an Innoterra investor. I must tell you that I'm not a typical investor. I'm more an entrepreneur, I'm a musician, I'm a father, I'm a crazy guy, but not a typical investor. Nevertheless, I have invested last year 750 million Swiss francs of my own capital into crazy startups. So in that sense, I am an investor too, but not a typical one. I'm also a thinker. I place my bets looking at our planet and macro bets. And I was really happy to see, bets like longevity, feed the planet, heal the planet, decarbonize the planet. These are really crazy, complex, big problems which excite me most as an investor and as an entrepreneur. So let's start, to heat up here a little bit with the topic of longevity. I went to the doctor recently and I said, "Doctor, I have an urgent wish. I want to live longer because, my time is running out." And I said, "Yeah, very easy. You have to marry." I said, "Really? Then I will live longer?" I said, "No, but your wish will disappear." That was a joke. This is the other angle to solve the longevity problem. Now, having said that, to my 3 principles when I invest. So, as I said, I'm excited by complex, large problems. I used to say that usually I walk through my life with open eyes and open senses, receptive senses, and once in a while I fall in love with a problem. And the more complex and the bigger the problem, the more it excites me. So it's all about purpose. And I like that one of my speakers before said, let me not tell you what we do or how we do it, but why we do it. The why question, the question of children, is the most important one. And I think as today's investors, you should start with purposeful investments. It's not just about the money. If it was about the money, you can become a drug dealer or sell weapons or become an investment banker. I'm talking about having an impact, changing the planet for the better. That's a purposeful type of investment. This is for me the start. If I'm not excited by the purpose, la raison d'être of the company, then I will never invest. The second thing is, if we think of big problems to solve, then you need a scalable business model. Big problems need scalability, doing things at scale. I mean, I love to visit a good restaurant here around the corner, but this is a smaller problem to solve. I'm excited about big problems, therefore you have to have scale. And last but not least, I say, if you have a vision, you should go to the doctor. Having said that, I mean, it's all about execution. A vision without the power and the will to execute will never succeed. And for successful execution, you need excellent people with skills and talent, but even more so important is attitude. Straight, honest people, people that walk the talk, that say what they think and do what they say. That's how you create success. The will and the discipline to execute with a good and straight attitude. That's how successful businesses are made of. Next slide. Where is it? You got it already. Okay. It's a very busy slide. I don't want to bother you with details, but how do we actually solve the problem to feed the world? Well, our mission is to feed the world with sustainably produced healthy food. We concentrated on vegetables and fruits, and I'm by no means vegan. I like a good filet de bœuf. But the food production, how it is today, will not solve the world's food problem. We will not be able to feed by 2050 10 billion people by the meat industry, how it looks today. If you have ever visited a poultry factory in China with 10 million of chickens, poulets, the first thing they do when they get out of the egg, they pump it full of antibiotics. That means the food production, if we continue like this, it is killing us. It is the biggest source of resistant bacteria and viruses. So therefore, we made a first decision by saying, let's focus on fruits and vegetables. Now, how to scale? When I joined the company, Ron did not get me in by showing me EBITDAs and P&Ls and 2 billion revenues and whatever. He got me by putting me in front of a farmer in India. So I was there and I visited a farmer with 4 daughters, which is already a problem in India because of the, how do you say, Mitgift? No, whatever. One daughter was disabled and he had only 2 cows and a small plantation. With 2 cows producing only 2 liters of milk, he could roughly feed the family, but never sell milk out there as a business to have a sustainable life. So we asked, why does a Swiss cow here in the Alps produce 40 liters of milk and that farmer is producing only 2? Is that the DNA of the cow? What is it? So you get with science, veterinaries, to get some blood of these cows. This cow was full of toxins, stress hormones, and whatever. And then we thought, why is that cow stressed? A simple matter of fact that she was tied to the wall with 20 centimeters of rope because the farmer just doesn't know it better. So with education, this is a very, very important input into the farm education. It all starts with education. So he didn't know how to vaccine the cow. He didn't know how to breed the cow. He didn't know how to feed the cow, giving them waste, how to tie the cow to the wall. So with a little bit of education, we brought the milk output of that cow from 2 to 12 liters. And when I saw that, I said, oh, I'm in. With a little bit of knowledge and technology, we can quadruple the income or the output of this farmer. Now, how do we do that at scale? I mean, those people have 1,500 people on the ground in India, done the fantastic work, but how do you solve the world's food problem? And then that reminded me of my fintech background, and I got acquainted with a Mr. Raiffeisen. All of you know Mr. Raiffeisen, 1874. He said, you know, why don't we connect these smallhold banks, not smallhold farmers, but smallhold banks in a virtual organization and let them collaborate. Do risk management together, procurement together, knowledge sharing together. And that was one of the most successful banking models in the last 200 years. And you have now Raiffeisen in Germany, in Luxembourg, in France, in Switzerland, in Austria. And in Switzerland, it's the third largest bank. Actually, it's not a bank, it's 200 smallhold banks collaborating together. And that's how we can crack the problem. If we can go to India and say you have 260 million farmer families, and you virtually connect them, and the internet has made it possible to do that at scale. If you look at the top Fortune 500 top 10, you know, LinkedIn, Google, Amazon, Alibaba, it's all platform plays that are about interconnecting stakeholders. That's how you crack the big problems. How do you crack you know, the biggest encyclopedia of the world? You start with 100 editors, you interconnect them, you invite the world to edit with you. This can only be done by software. But if you go to a farmer in India, he will never come up with the idea, why don't we use weather data, fluid dynamic mathematical models for weather prediction, putting sensors in the soil to understand what's going on in the plants, infrared drones to see where the problem is in his plantation. He will never come up with such ideas. Or do mass procurement. A smallhold farmer with 2 cows, he will never be able to have a cooling tank of 8,000 liters of cool milk. He will never be able to buy a lorry. He will never be able to buy a tractor. But as communities, he said here, we want to have 2 million or 5 million farmers in 5 years. This is peanuts. It's about connecting hundreds of millions of farmers worldwide. 2/3 of the food production in the world are done by smallhold farmers, not by the big farmers in, you know, as a model in Latin America. So it's all about software, and we started recruiting software people, and we cracked the problem by producing 2 platforms to solve the problem. One platform will help exactly the smallhold farmer to do better, more, at lower risk. Like that, the poorest of the poor don't go off their plantage and go to the slums in the big cities, but we need them to continue to produce food to feed us. So that platform helps them to do a better job at lower risk, increasing their wealth, giving them a decent existence. And the other part is giving them a voice. Can you imagine a smallhold farmer with 2 cows and 3 bananas to negotiate with the large off-takers? I'm not talking about Migros, I'm talking about 100 times that size. They have no negotiation power. What if a platform and digital marketplace like an Amazon of food can start negotiating on behalf of 200 million farmers? Aha, you're suddenly powerful. That's what we do with the marketplace platform. So these 2 platforms, based on software platforms, can crack the world food problem in the next coming years. that's what we do. Of course, the accessibility of such heavy-duty IT platforms are always this device. It's all about apps, but apps are, of course, just the tip of the iceberg to access complex systems behind. We monitor what's going on, and we give accessibility. And once you have established a brand like Happy Banana, it's not a banana, it's a happy banana, then you want, that stands for high quality of reliable delivery, etc., and fair pay and fair treatment of the farmer. We have then programmed the tracing capability where you can follow the liter of milk or the smoothie down to the cow. We have even face recognition for cows. We know when Emma has a problem. We can also track down the banana to the tree. And this is all in software, and it's also important to let the message spread also to the consumer that the happy banana is not a normal banana. You can guarantee it's aflatoxin free, it's healthy, and it's fair trade, fair play for farmers. So all that is in software, accessible through the mobile phone. We have 6.5 billion devices in the world. That's how the message gets spread and scaled as well. That's it. And here, the last slide is too boring to explain. I just want to say that all these pieces of software are live. And software platforms are never finished, so you need a continuous improvement, version 2, version 3, version 4. At Avaloq, I ended up with version 32 of a banking platform. We will also have, hopefully, a version 40 of the food platform. That's how we solve the problem, and it's here, and we execute with passion. Thank you very much.
Being a farmer in India comes with its own set of challenges. They are a community of 150 million engaged in feeding billions, yet they lack equitable access to markets, finance, and knowledge. For the planet and betterment of the food ecosystem, it is critical for us to ensure that the farmer is empowered. Our deep experience uniquely places us in a pole position to roll out an open architecture platform that facilitates collaboration, trust, and value creation throughout the global food ecosystem. And we do this by connecting smallholder farmers to global food opportunities powered by technology and data. Like we do, our partners too believe in this relationship as they stand testimony to it.
एक तो इस कंपनी से हमें लोन आसानी से मिल जाता है और इससे मेरा बिजनेस भी बढ़ा है।
इनोटेरा कंपनी के साथ में जुड़ के मैं भी आगे बढ़ी हूँ, तो मेरे साथ साथ में दूसरी महिला भी जुड़ के आगे बढ़ सके।
इनोटेरा से जुड़ने के बाद हम लोग को सही तरह से पता चला कि खेती कैसे होती है। पहले हम लोग फर्टिलाइज़र डालते थे, अभी इनोटेरा ने हम लोग को टेक्निकल तरीके से बताया कि कैसे आपको यील्ड ज़्यादा मिलती है, आपका फ़ायदा कितना होता है।
కంపెనీ ద్వారా మాకు సహకారాలు అందుతున్నాయి. సాప్ కట్టర్ ఇచ్చారు, ఫీడ్ ఇచ్చారు, లోన్స్ ఇచ్చారు. మేము పాలు తీసుకొని కంపెనీకి డైరీకి పోతా ఉన్నాము. ఆ పాలు వచ్చి వాళ్ళ టెస్టింగ్లు మా ముందరే జరుగుతూ ఉన్నాయి. మాకు కరెక్ట్గా బిల్లులు వస్తున్నాయి. నెలకోసారి మాకు 10 రోజులకు ఒకసారి బిల్లులు మా ఎదురుగా మాకు మా అకౌంట్లో పడిపోతూ ఉన్నాయి. ఈ కంపెనీ మాకు మంచి చేస్తూ ఉంది.
रासायनिक खतं न वापरता वेळोवेळी ह्या कलमांना सेंद्रिय खत वापरतो आणि सेंद्रिय खतापासून जो आंबा निर्माण मिळणारा उत्पन्न आहे तो साक्याचं प्रमाण किंवा क्वालिटी चांगल्या प्रकारची क्वालिटी याच्यामध्ये आपल्याला मिळू शकते.
आमच्यासारख्या साऱ्या शेतकऱ्यांनी एकत्र करून त्यांचा माल वेगवेगळ्या ठिकाणी एका ब्रँड खाली ते विक्री करतात आणि शेतकऱ्यांना आमचा हापूस अधिकृत ऑथेंटिक अल्फांसो हा ग्राहकाला उपलब्ध त्यांनी करून दिला है.
मेरा फार्म में वेजिटेबल में लगा रहा हूँ तो उसमें बहुत ज़्यादा डिसीज आ रही थी, लेकिन जब भी मैंने वो इनोटेरा के साथ ज्वाइन किया है तो अभी मेरे फार्म में ना के बराबर डिसीज हो गई.
We've done more than just grow a beautiful banana at Innoterra. We spent 20 years learning about what it takes to invest in our farmers, because after all, if we can't put our best technologies, our best finance, our best science into the hands of farmers, we will not have beautiful bananas like this.
We inspire farmers to reap the fruits they, the world and the planet deserve. We are Innoterra.
So thanks for your patience. It's a long view, and I'll try to sum it up. Today, we are 60 high net worth, ultra high net worth families that have supported us. We, at the beginning of our journey, purposely decided to go not with time-bound venture capital, because to solve these big problems, you can't be on a time clock. Right now, we're doing our last financial round privately and then going to the institutional part. You'll just see it. We're about 1,300 employees. In the next 6 months, we hire about 450 new people. So the growth is really explosive. Talent was a problem about 8 years ago, but due to the positioning of how we work with purpose, with profit, we are now the third or fourth largest hirer from the Harvards of India, which is the IM Ahmedabad students. After Google and Amazon, it's mostly Innoterra. So also we've been able to attract great brains. On the strategic partnerships, this is really, really an important point in our journey. We won the trust of companies like Tata Trust, Syngenta Foundation, AEG, National Agriculture Bank of Rural Development of India. These people have tens of millions of farmer families digitalized, and they approached us to partner with us so our products and services of our platforms can be made available to them. So if we go to the last slide, for the economics here, we've been growing at 85% CAGR for the last 5 years. We raised last year, in the middle of Corona, 50 million at a post-money valuation of around 450 million. We raised now in this year around 62 million. We have about 18 million open at the last private round. And we are currently in discussion with the first institutional investors to take us into the first institutional round. Our target will be to do an IPO in 4.5 years from now. And hopefully integrate about, I don't know, my dream would be, or our dream here would be, to integrate about 150,000 farmer families into the IPO as well. So thanks for your patience, thanks for your attention. We are crazy enough to believe we can make a change in the next 5 to 10 years. And I'm sure and confident we as a team here will do it. Thank you.
I am truly impressed, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. I think nobody goes it all along, but there are those who lead the way, and I'm 100% sure you, Ron, and also Francisco are one of them. So thank you very much. Such an impressive company, and yeah.
Thank you, Miriam.
Thank you, Ron Paul. It was an honor to have you here.